Hey guys, this is Xander from Doubt to Faith, the starting line. I just want to thank you for tuning in today. Today we're going to be this is going to be me and Athena giving our testimonies and talking about why we're doing this, what the purpose is, what to expect, and what's going to be happening in later episodes. Make sure you follow our social media accounts and you subscribe. Drop a thumbs up, drop a comment, and yeah, we hope this episode blesses you as has blessed us. Have a good one. Hey everybody, my name is Xander.
I'm Athena.
So about a week ago, we decided that we were going to start this podcasting. We were on our way to Wisconsin Dells with our daughters. We have two daughters. One's 3 and one's 1.5. So we were on our way down there, and we were listening to music. And then Athena was like, "Why don't we listen to something like, I don't know, a sermon or podcast or something?" I was like, "All right." So I played something, and then we're just sitting there, we're listening, and out of nowhere she goes, "We should do that." It's like, "Do what?" "Start a podcast." I was like, "You want to start a podcast?" If you know anything about my wife, she's not the most people person, but it was really cool that she said that. So as we started to talk about it and think about it more, and honestly, the Holy Spirit was just in the car flowing, and we were just getting all these ideas and figuring out where we were going with this. And we decided that we're going to start a podcast. Here we are. And the whole general idea is going to be that we're baby Christians. We're new to this, right? And we have a lot of questions. We've asked a lot of questions already. And I don't think that that's uncommon when it comes to people who are new in their faith, that they have questions. So why not us be the avenue to help people who have those questions and then also grow our faith at the same time. So this whole podcast, what's going to happen in hopefully tens and 20 hundreds of episodes, we're going to interview different people who are seasoned in their faith and just talk about any types of questions that we have, that other people have, um, things like that. So we're going to grow in our faith, and then also it'll allow you, the listeners, to learn with us and grow with us and things like that. Here's kind of what we're going to do with this thing is we're going to have all different types of guests. Um, right now it'll be a lot of people from our church, a lot of people in our life that we've learned from or that have certain experiences that we know we can benefit from and that our viewers and listeners can also benefit from as well. So we'll have people from all different walks of life. Um, Again, any faith questions that you have, that we have, they're going to be answered. We're going to ask them to pastors, again, people seasoned in their faith, things like that. So again, if you do have questions, feel free to message any of our social medias. You can send an email. The email will be in probably the description or something like that. So again, as we go through it, we're going to be asking questions and talking about things that a lot of people either don't feel comfortable asking. Like we had questions and we didn't feel comfortable asking, so we would ask like her mom, and then her mom would find out the answer for us because we didn't know who to ask, how to ask it, things like that. Um, and again, we also want to keep it kind of lighthearted because sometimes like some people's testimonies and stories are going to be kind of heavy, and we also want to keep this real but also light and fun at times. So we may have like games, and we're coming up with ideas, all types of ideas of like Bible trivia or like little competitions and games like that. So to get us started, Athena's gonna share her testimony.
I grew up in a two-parent household, and I have three siblings. And so growing up, I always said like I had a pretty good childhood. Um, we did stuff together. Like I was happy. Um, it was when I got a little bit older where my dad kind of left the picture, and my mom kind of fell down this black hole, and that's when I started to really feel the loneliness. Um, but we grew up being Christian by title, but I wouldn't say that I was raised to live like a Christian, really. I always knew that I believed in a God, but I didn't really know that, I didn't really know Jesus, if that makes sense. And so, as I grew up, I was always feeling lonely, like I didn't have a space or I didn't have a place. And eventually I joined my church that I was going to at the time's youth group, and I really felt like a strong connection to that group. But I thought I got saved, I got baptized, and I was going to a Christian college for a minute after I graduated. But being at the Christian college, I started telling myself, oh, they're shoving God down my throat, and I have no freedom, and I don't like this. Like, and so I turned away from Christianity and God in general, and I just kind of went my own way for a little bit. Um, and that was when my anxiety and my depression started to get bigger. I started messing around with alcohol, fornication. I tried weed here and there, um, and none of it made me feel good. None of it got rid of the anxiety or depression. Um, but somewhere while I was in college, I had left the Christian college and I was going to college locally. And during that time was when me and Xander we got pregnant and then we got married. Um, but even with all of that, I was still just unhappy as a person. Um, so we were married. My kids are the greatest gift that I've ever gotten, biggest blessings in my whole life. But in general, I was just not happy with the life that I was living. It's not like I was going out and doing crazy things all the time. I mean, I partied a little bit, but to me, it was just like I'm doing normal 20-year-old things. Like it's fine. Um, but just my marriage wasn't happy. My life wasn't happy, and we'll kind of get into the marriage testimony in a little bit. But we started going to church, but I didn't really like it. I was really pushing back against it. I kept hearing like doubt and logic in my mind, which was turning me away from God and the church. Um, but then our church had a 40-day revival where we were going to church every single day for 40 nights. And during that time, I got saved and I was baptized. And truthfully, I don't understand it, but my life was transformed and everything started turning up. Like, there's still so much to learn and grow, but everything got so much better after that. So,
Amen. So I guess it's my turn. So growing up, from a lot of what I can remember, it was mostly me, my mom, and my sister a lot of the time. But my mom was an addict growing up. She was addicted to drugs, and she was never like it was like she wasn't home a lot of the time, and I don't know, just we struggled a lot with like it was just me and my sister. It felt like a lot of the time, and I didn't really have a father figure at the time. My mom and my dad were never married; they were never like officially together. So I didn't really have a father figure. The closest thing I had was my grandfather, and my grandfather was also a drug addict. Um, when I was about, I think like 3 or 4, I remember waking up to my grandfather, or we're waking up with my grandfather in bed with me. Slept in bed with him, and I woke up. I was late to school, and I remember like rocking and rocking and rocking, like wake up, grandpa, like Papa, we're late for school, and he never woke up. So I tried to wake my grandpa up. He was dead. Um, and that was the only father figure that I knew for most of my life. Um, it's kind of hard. Uh, Growing up, a lot of like throughout elementary school, I think about like second, third grade, my mom decided she like overdosed. She almost died, and she decided it was time for her to get clean, change her life around. Um, but it was kind of weird for me and my sister really because it went from my mom never being around because she was always on drugs, going out partying, doing stuff, to her now being sober, never being home, never being around because she's always at meetings and trying to get herself clean. So it was a really hard balance, and like for a kid, I really didn't understand. Um, and the other thing is like I felt like she never found a way to like cope with a lot of the things that she had went through when she was an addict. So that kind of like made like affected things as I grew up throughout middle school and stuff. So once I hit middle school, I still like didn't really know myself. I mean, I was still a kid, and I was bullied a lot. Didn't really have like a community. Again, still didn't really know my dad. It just felt like it was me and my sister against the world. Um, Once I hit high school, I finally found my passion, which was music. I was in band and loved it. Loved marching band. Did all that. It's actually how me and Athena met. We met my sophomore year of high school in marching band. Um, Throughout high school, I still didn't feel like I found like a group of people who like cared for me or loved me. Like I still struggle with my mom because, like I said, she didn't like fully cope with all the things that she was going through. So it felt like it left me in the dust a lot. And my sister, she was going through her own things. Like she was becoming her own person. So I felt like really alone, and I went through like a state of depression. And I tried to take my life when I was a sophomore in high school. Once I got back, I became really close with this girl from school. Her name was Esme, and she was like, "Hey, why don't you come to church with me?" And I was like, "All right, why not?" Like, I had nothing to lose, and I was willing to try anything at that point. So I went to church with her. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the community of people and like being around people and stuff like that. But the thing was, I would go to church every Wednesday, every Sunday, but then all the other days in between, I was smoking weed and I was like doing all these things that I shouldn't have been doing at that age or at that time. Um, and I kind of just like faded from church. And then me and Athena, we got back together later on in high school, and then we started attending church together. Like she said, when she went to youth group, and then we broke up again because that's what high schoolers do. They get together, break up, get together, break up. And that time I was a senior when we broke up, and when that happened, I was using substances a lot to cope, um, and I was using sex to cope at that time. Um, and then throughout, like after I graduated, I was still like trying to find myself, figure things out. I had grown up a little bit. Me and Athena got back together. Um, there was still like a hole, like an emptiness that I feel like we had, but we were like there was a lot of like lust between us that we were able to just like keep that going. Eventually, she got pregnant, and they were like, "Oh, we should probably get married." So then we got married. Um, a week before my daughter was born, like I mentioned, I had a problem with substances at this time. I wasn't really didn't want to accept it because like my mom was addicted to drugs and had her drug addiction, and then for me it's like I didn't want to admit that this like what's the word like generational curse really of addiction like had this hold on my family. It was like I did not have this. I did not have addiction in my mind. I refused to have it. But everything I did pointed to that. A week before my daughter was born, I decided, oh, let's have one last hoorah. Let's go out and drink, and I'm gonna go out and go with my friends. Athena was she was 39 weeks pregnant. She's like, okay, get away from me. I don't want to talk to you, you know. So I went out, got really drunk. I met this guy who was like, I knew him from middle school or whatever, and we had like caught up. And then by the end of the night, it was 3 a.m. I was like, I'm gonna drive home. Hey, random guy that I know from middle school, do you want to follow me home? And he was like, sure. So I get in the car. Absolutely shouldn't have. Um, I'm. I remember driving home, and I remember getting to a certain point, and then I remember waking up. I crashed my car. I turned down the wrong street. Don't remember doing that. And at the end of the street was a dead end, and there was at the end of the street was just trees. And when I woke up, the guy who had followed me home, or was supposed to be following me home, was shaking me. And I woke up, and I was so confused. I mean, like, what do you do in this situation? I didn't know what was going on. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling because it's hard for me to talk about. The guy got me in his car. He's like, "We gotta go." Like, I don't. He wanted nothing to do with that. He did not want to get in trouble, so he got me in his car and we went. I was like, obviously out of it still, but I was like, "Hey, we need to call my dad." He was like, "It's 4 in the morning and you're drunk driving and crash your car. Why do you need to call your dad right now?" My dad was a tow truck driver, so I called my dad. He went, got the car out. Um, Next day, I told Athena what happened. was not happy, obviously. um, and then from that point, it was just like I knew something had to change. What am I missing? Something?
I think it's important to point out that by the grace of God, you did not get in trouble with the
Oh,
law.
yeah,
Your car got completely paid off, and you got a brand new one, and all the debt you had from your old car was gone,
yeah,
and you got out scot free.
yeah. Well, the other thing too, though, like I had gone back to that, like to the spot of the accident, and I truly don't know how I lived. Like at that time, I was like, how did I survive this? And honestly, the only thing that is the answer to me is by God's grace that I lived and survived.
Yeah, not a scratch on you.
Literally nothing happened to me physically, nothing happened to my life other than the guilt that I suffered with for a long time. Yeah, so then my daughter was born. I knew like things had to change. Once my daughter was born, like to anyone who has kids or like doesn't have kids yet, if you have kids, you understand. But for the first time when I looked at my daughter, I knew that things in my life needed to change, and a lot of the like substances kind of like went down, and I still like vaped a lot and occasionally drank, but I wasn't like partying like I was and doing stuff like that. Then my next daughter was born. In this like season of my life, just a lot of things were changing. I lost a lot of friends. It was kind of just like me and her. There's a lot of drama going on in her family. We weren't like really close to their family anymore. Um, I didn't really have anybody other than Athena and my two kids, and it was just like I didn't know what to do, who to go to. I didn't have the community friends that I had. At this time, I started to like get into gambling, which is like online stuff, and I found like communities, and I found friends that I thought were friends, at the time, and then I did create like a couple really cool relationships, but the foundation was gambling for most of them, besides like one guy who I love and adore. But um, when I picked up, I don't talk about the gambling thing a lot because like it's hard for me to like fully come to terms with like the things that happened in that, and a lot of people don't talk about it because like gambling is so advertised, from like sports betting to like even bingo. Like, dude, if you do bingo with your like grandma or whatever, and you're putting $1 per, like that's gambling. Like it's just so normalized that I don't know. I mean, obviously there's like Gamblers Anonymous or like, well, if you have a gambling addiction, like call this number, but like people don't take that seriously, honestly, in my opinion. Um, but from gambling for me, like I went from like to lying to my wife to constantly spending money that I didn't have. Um, honestly, like feel like I was stealing from my children. Like there was weeks where like we had to borrow money from my mom so we could buy groceries, but I was still putting money into gambling, and it yeah it was stupid, but it had like a grasp on my life, and I didn't know how I was gonna like let go of that. Never really wanted to. Like it was weird because like I knew the things that it was doing to us and my to my life, but it was like I didn't feel the need to let go of it. And then there was one day where we were at my mom's house, and Miss Mari, praise God, she would not let go that we were going to church. She's like, "You're coming to church on Sunday?" I said, "Girl, if I walk in that church, that place is gonna burn. Like I'm not going in there." And she just kept pushing, kept pushing, kept pushing, and we decided we were gonna go. Well, I said, "All right, fine, we'll go." And then Athena kind of just tagged along, and for a lot of like seasoned Christians, we know God is a timely God, and the word that was given to Pastor Jimmy that day was like, I think it was about like letting go of things and like something like that. And it was like I knew it was time for me to let go of everything that had a hold in my life, and it was just like I decided that morning, that day, that I was gonna give my life to Christ, and my whole life changed. I We're about to talk about it in a second, but like our marriage changed, my relationship with my children changed, my relationship with my sister, my brother, my mom, like everything changed for the better. Um, and now we're kind of just in this season of growth and learning and excited to see what God has in store for
But a big part of our story is our marriage testimony. Um,
us.
we were high school sweethearts. He was my first boyfriend. But we had a very on and off again relationship. It was really messy. Like he was unfaithful. I mean, in high school, and it it was high school relationship. But after high school, we had broken up for a time, and then we reconnected. Um, and we actually ended up getting engaged, but he, he broke it off, and so then
We thought we were over the off and on.
yeah, he broke it off, and then that time, like it was, just more struggle, and then he had struggles with my family, and a whole bunch of different things kept popping up. But I got pregnant, and so then we were like, okay, we're just gonna have to do this thing. Like, we are now gonna be parents together, so let's just do it for real. So we got married while I was pregnant with my daughter, and we definitely loved each other, but I don't know that for a long time we were in love with each other. There was tension, there was arguments, and truthfully, we were on the edge of divorce. Like, we were just constantly fighting about housework and money and bills and parenting, and like we just could not seem to agree on anything, to the point where there was no intimacy, like there was not even any physical touch. We weren't like going on dates. Like we just didn't really even want to like be around each other. We were roommates at that point, and
Yeah.
that was part of like our mental health struggles both. Like we just were not happy in our marriage and in our life that we were living. Like like I said, our kids are our absolute joy, but besides that, it was just kind of like a roommate situation. And we tried counseling, and the counseling that we did didn't work.
No.
We tried like sitting down and talking about it and coming up with these plans, and they never ended up following through. And so I think at some point I said, I'm like on my last straw. We need to do something or I'm done. And I suggested church. My mom always kept telling me, we need to go to these marriage classes. You need to try these marriage classes. Like, they're so good. We still haven't done them. We probably should. But I was like, okay, if anything's going to fix this marriage, it's going to be God. So, truthfully, that's kind of also what brought us back to church, was that we needed to save our marriage, because I didn't want to be divorced. I have a lot of love for him, and I didn't want to be divorced at the age of 25 with two kids. I was not trying to do that. That was never in my plans. Well, it, it was never in the books for me. I didn't want to do that. So, um, our marriage, after giving ourselves to God and going to church and turning our life around, like our marriage has improved so much. Like, there's just so much more love and happiness in our marriage and in our life, and like we still have a lot of work to do, and we're really working to discover our new roles as a Christian couple who serves God. But yeah.
Yeah, and we actually talked about this the other day that like a lot of the things that like used to make us mad before like giving our lives to Christ, like we still do those things, but like our outlook on life is like completely changed and they don't like make us mad anymore. It's just like what seemed so big is so small
Like, why couldn't you just put your socks in the laundry? But like,
now.
it's the small things that would just pile up and bother me so badly that all of it seems so minor now.
Yeah,
In
I still
in the
leave my
long run,
socks on the floor.
he
There's actually
does,
one right
and he gonna pick them up too.
there. But yeah, and honestly, like once we um, gave our lives to Christ and we were like doing this thing, one of the biggest things for us was like, how do we have a godly marriage? Like, what does that look like? And that's where a lot of our questions, or a lot of my questions, were at first. Um,
Still are.
well, yeah, we still do have questions, and that's we're really excited. It's gonna be one of our episodes later on. is we're going to have our senior pastor and our associate pastor of our church and their wives, and who are also pastors at the church, and we're all going to get together. We're going to talk about what a godly marriage looks like and things like
Spoiler.
that. Yeah, little spoiler, little tease. So yeah, that's us. That's kind of where we're at in our faith and where we are. Um, as we continue to go through the season of growth, we're really excited to learn together and to give you guys the avenue to ask questions and to learn with us. We have a lot of episodes like planned. We have a lot of special guests. Like they're special to us. To a lot of people may not know them, but man, do these people have stories that are gonna change people's lives. And we're beyond excited. And honestly, don't forget that like the huge important part of this whole podcast is that we're asking questions and you're asking questions. And as we do that, it's important that you ask questions through any of our social media sites. You drop comments on um, this video, on any of our shorts, or anything that we post at all. And you can also send us an email if you want it to be anonymous, anything like that. And we're going to do our best to get those answered in any future videos. If you ask a question and we may not get to it in a few weeks because we may have a guest that may like specialize in a question that you have, um, and we want to give you the best answer as well as us as well, right? Um, so yeah, it's just we really are gonna go from our doubt and grow our faith together. We're gonna end in prayer. So if you want to pray with us, dear God, I just want to thank you for today. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for all the people who are watching. We hope that your word penetrates their ears, penetrates their hearts, and that we all grow together, God. I thank you for bringing us together. I thank you for my wife, and I thank you for this ministry that you put it on our hearts. And I hope that we do all things through your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Peace.